That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Kill, the fourth film directed by Nikhil Nagesh Bhat, which premiered at the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival. Lionsgate Films is releasing it July 4th, 2024.
Fourth film. Mm-hmm. Do we know this director's other films?
I have not seen any of their previous films, but if you were a fan of this, his 2022 title, Her Dang, is available to stream on Netflix.
What is Kill about? During a train trip to New Delhi, a pair of commandos face an army of invading bandits. What is your pull quote?
You've seen it on a plane, you've seen it on a train, and now India takes her maiden voyage into stylized hyperviolence with Kill, a derivative but well-choreographed killing spree flick handcrafted for fans of the brutalist subgenre.
Mine. If John Wick hopping onto a low-budget train heading to New Delhi sounds intriguing, you may find Kill invigorating. What? Is that shady?
Yeah.
Well, it feels like John Wick mixed with Bullet Train, except Bullet Train was like a luxury high-speed train. And this train looks like the Greyhound bus to me. But the premise is weird because it says a pair of commandos, which two of them do get on the train, but one of them is incapacitated very quickly. So the lead is Amrit, played by
Lakshya.
Very handsome man. So he is a soldier in the army. And he's no regular soldier. He's like a badass. And he is in love with this lady named Tulika.
Played by Tanya Maniktala.
Okay, so Amrit is out on a mission for a few days, I guess, and goes back to his base and sees that he has a whole bunch of text messages and voicemails from Tulika. And she's like, boy, my parents arranged a marriage for me, and I'm going to my engagement party tomorrow. Help. So he goes down to the engagement party and tells her, like, okay, well, let's go. And she says, we can't do that. My dad, who runs like this transportation company, so it's made to seem like he's rich and powerful. And at the engagement party, her dad and his buddies are like shooting guns into the air. So she goes, you know, my dad's dangerous. If you did that, he would kill you. But I do want to spend the rest of my life with you. So how about this? We're taking the train to New Delhi. Why don't you meet up there and we can figure out a plan? So he does. Unfortunately, on this same train trip, there's a gang of bad guys.
Run by Fani, played by Raghav Juyal.
Yep, and their goal is to, mug everyone in first class, like burglarize the train.
Yeah, everybody. It's quite unclear how many members of this team there are and what exactly they think they're going to get with sharing the profit with all of these people.
And, well, we can get, and why they're so emotional, but anyway.
Yeah.
At the 45-minute mark, the bad guys kill Tulika.
And that's when we get the title credit as well.
Yeah. So now, Amrit needs to get revenge. So the next hour is him taking down all the bad guys one by one. He does. On the train was Tulika's dad and the rest of her family. And they didn't know that she was madly in love with this man who she had been with for like 4 years. So, and as the audience and Amrit as well had the impression that he would hate him. But at the end, I guess after seeing how much he loved his daughter, it would seem like he's accepting him.
I don't think they really, they don't really detail her father as such a criminal kingpin to make sense about why she wouldn't have told him something.
No, because he seems kind of soft in the movies. So.
But besides the gunfire at the engagement ceremony, but the way that she's speaking about her dad makes it seem like if Meadow Soprano told her dad she was going to marry a cop.
Yeah. But throughout the entire film, while everyone's getting their ass whooped, the dad is just standing back like, don't touch us. So, yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, the story's very simple. It feels like a lot of things. Like, I mean, there are so many movies like this.
Yes, the Raid films from Indonesia, Dev Patel's Monkey Man. There's Hardcore Henry from back in 2015, which I remember.
Is that Russian?
I think it's a Russian director, but Charlton Copley and Tim Roth are in it.
I think I've seen that.
I saw it, I think, in Toronto. So you've seen this film before.
I mean, it's also kind of like any Liam Neeson movie, too.
And the John Wick films. And so I think part of what makes some of those films work is how compelled you are by the lead star. And again, this man is very attractive, but he does seem a little dead behind the eyes in a way that reminded me of, he was giving me Freddie Prinze Jr. vibes.
Yeah, I mean, we're not getting anything from him. And I imagine that he's supposed to be, because John Wick is kind of stoic, but then Keanu Reeves has an air to him. And I don't, or like if I think about Monkey Man, Dev Patel, there was a lot of emotion behind that performance. But this guy looks like, I mean, he just, yeah. It's very flat.
It's very flat. So I think that there's a contingent of people that will respond to this film very strongly, and then good news for some of them, I guess, because 3 days before it's coming out, Lionsgate's like, oh, we're gonna have an English language remake, which I don't know. The only thing that's at all unique about it is that this kind of film is coming from India.
So when you told me it was a midnight film and that it's deemed the most violent Indian film ever made, I was expecting something very different.
That's a marketing ploy.
Sure. But then when you said it's being remade for U.S. audiences, it's like, well, then what is this supposed to be? Because it feels like a lot of movies then.
We certainly already have this movie in the U.S.
I think, like, what would this movie's unique selling point be? And I think it would have been really cool to get, like, I mean, it sounds silly, but not like a full Bollywood vibe, but maybe like some color and some like a more jovial element to the ultraviolet nature of it. I feel like that would have made this seem fresh.
Yeah, and they can't, like, you could argue that RRR is kind of like that. But I think what you're saying is that is maybe not so Bollywood, but have some kind of stylized levity as well.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just going to go through my notes. The bad guys are they're like very, how would you describe them? I don't know that I've seen bad guys like this who are so emotional.
Fraternal.
But like they're very bothered that people are fighting back and like,
we must have vengeance. You heard, but it's like maybe you shouldn't engage in nefarious criminal activity, dangerous activity with your friends and loved ones.
Yeah, they're very emotional. At one point, the main baddie, Fani, talking about Amrit, he says that commando's love has fallen on us like a bomb, and then
that was a terrible line that I wrote down.
He also says like, initially when they realized that this like sort of high level soldiers on the train and that they killed his lady love, Fanny's like, oh, you're gonna have to fight him like Muhammad Ali. And then when Fanny comes face to face with Amrit, he's screaming at him like, what kind of monster are you? And it's like, you're the one who got on the train with your friends and proceeded to kill everybody on the damn train. But you're calling this man a monster?
Oh, they are so, the criminals are so continually upset. We see them more upset than the passengers on the train.
Oh, well, that was my next note, that all of these passengers are just standing around like they're waiting for the bus. Like they're not doing anything. Like literally people are getting beat up. Like presumably friends and family members, and they're just standing there watching. It's not until the hour 20 mark that we see a passenger fight back, which we'll get to. At one point, the train catches on fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going on.
And I fully forgot the train was on fire.
Same.
Like, it's on fire for like 30 minutes. And it wasn't until a fight sequence where you see flames out the window that I was reminded. And then when the film ends, we see the army show up. But there are no fire trucks to put out the fire. I don't know. But so since it's considered like the most violent film ever, I wrote down some of the more memorable, like, because I don't think this feels that violent.
I think we're highly desensitized as
and
well.
Maybe that's what it is.
But I think, and also that I think the director was trying to space them out a bit because they do have more effect. I think if they're you haven't seen the Raid films, but those to me are like watching a video game. It's like endless carnage. So,
okay, you know what? In that case, then I think it is well measured. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the film deserves credit for the cinematography and the editing.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, and we're in a claustrophobic, very confined space all the time, and so that is, I don't think that's innately unique, but I think with potentially lesser resources than a Hollywood production, I think they've done quite a good job.
Yeah. So some of the more violent moments, we see someone get stabbed in the eye. We see someone get choked out by shooting a fire extinguisher into their mouth. At one point, when Amrit decides that he's going to fight back, he hangs a lot of the dead bodies from the top of, like, the ceiling of the train.
Which would take way too long.
I know.
Too much energy.
Yeah, and then we see one person whose head has been, like, a huge chunk of their head has been, like, blown off, which I thought was kind of jarring. One character gets their head like stomped on, and then it snaps their spine. Mm-hmm. That was pretty extreme. Tulika, I was very surprised to see her get killed at the halfway point. Mm-hmm. I mean, before the halfway point. And she gets stabbed in the back, the chest, through her neck.
And then thrown off the damn train.
And then thrown off the train.
But what's also generating that kind of effect about her death is that we have an emotional attachment to her because there's some character development
for her, because we get flashbacks to her and Amrit, and we hear her talking more than Amrit about their love. So when she died, I was shocked.
Their love, it's very, very Edgar Allan Poe, Annabelle Lee. We loved with love that was more than love. Okay.
I think the best scene in the film is at the hour 20 mark, and it's when a group of ladies finally decide to fight back against the bad guys. And one lady in particular takes a hammer and hits a bad guy on the top of the head, and the head of the hammer gets lodged into his skull. And then this lady takes like a secondary tool and starts hitting the hammer thing over into his head further. And then the other ladies start beating the guy up. I think that's what I meant when you said stylized levity. I'm not saying it should be like Happy Dancing, but I think that scene with those ladies was more the energy of like these people on the train fighting back. I also didn't love that it was like supposed to be first class. I think it would have been funny more, like I would have been rooting more for, even though it didn't look like first class to me, I think just having regular people on the train fighting back against these like hoodlums, mm-hmm. and having it be like middle-aged old ladies carrying like their tote bags filled with groceries. That moment is what I think I wanted the most.
So catharsis, the violence as catharsis is what you're looking for.
Okay, so Fani's the bad guy, and then I don't know if that was his dad or just the old man who's running their little raggedy gang. That old man, who's probably the most emotional.
I think uncle.
Is he the uncle? Mm-hmm. He ends up dying by Amrit throws like a lighter in his mouth with a propellant. And so that man's head catches on fire. That looked cool.
Mm-hmm. Which is also in the trailer.
Yes, it is.
I think the trailer shows a little too much.
It does.
Uh-huh.
Then some guy gets hit over the head with a sledgehammer. And then, of course, the final death that you're waiting for is Amrit killing Fani, the man who's responsible for killing his lady love. And Amrit beats his ass to death with a sledgehammer, mm-hmm. which was pretty gruesome.
It's gruesome, but nothing feels like it's going to take the place of his lady love.
But I think you're right. I'm probably so desensitized that hearing things like most violent, most bloody, most gruesome. Did I feel like this movie was that? No. But I agree that it's shot well, the choreography's done well. And if you like these like constant action films, or action films that are just constant fighting, I think you would like this.
Yeah, but then if you don't or are kind of bored by that, it's going to seem like old hat very quickly.
Which was the case for me.
Mm-hmm. but everybody does a fine enough job acting-wise. I think the villains, they're not caricatures, but they're emotional responses to their comrades getting taken down.
or silly.
By the people that they're victimizing are like, my God.
The one guy, Fani, you said he looked like...
He had that cockatoo hair that Trevor Jackson has in that really bad Superfly remake.
Oh, is it Superfly? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, well, nobody's going to live up to Ron O'Neal, but that hair is very distracting to me.
What else would you like to say?
That's about it. Yeah.
What would you give Kill?
2.5.
I think it's fine. I would give it 2.5 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.